I want to talk about the topic of this idea of socialism and communism, right? I just want to give you my perspective on it. When I was a young fella, I grew up in a house where my father always used to talk about Che Guevara, Fidel Castro. They were our heroes as children. He gave me a book to read when I was a child. I was probably in my early adolescence. It was on the topic of Karl Marx, right, and communism. And my father was usually the type of guy who was a revolutionary because he participated in the Black Power movement of Trinidad and Tobago before I was born, in his younger days. So I grew up in a house that was educating me about the advantages of socialism and communism and bringing equality to the public and all this kind of dynamics. But as I grew older and I went into my age and I traveled and I had jobs and I did things like that and I experienced life, I started to understand something about the psychology and the mindset of people who push this kind of agenda. And when I started observing how people interact with each other and the economics and how things operate at a higher level, moving down into society, I started realizing that there's something a little sinister, or I guess you could say kind of evil, about these ideas of socialism and communism. And that is this, is that you have to basically rely on the benevolence. In other words, you have to rely on some humans having goodwill and willing to be the parents of the society in such a way that they will ensure that the resources are equally distributed between everybody equally. And you have to hope and pray that the people in the society around you will equally think the same way, so that everybody would go into acquire these resources and plant the corn and grow the sheep and do all these things to make sure that everything is moving efficiently within the economy so that everybody has the exact same thing, right? The problem is human beings and human nature does not operate that way. And so I just want to ask you that if you are right now supporting this idea of communism or socialism, take the time to observe countries that have attempted to do this and did not succeed, and who had to revert back to free market systems in order to survive and in order to incentivize its population to produce resources at a rate that could sustain the population. Because we all are interconnected and we all rely on each other. And we all rely on people who are good at what they do to produce for society. And unfortunately, communism does not function that way. Now, the thinking behind communism, I understand it, I know where it comes from, and I know the intention. But in order to achieve that, these people believe that they have to kill, murder, plunder, and reduce the intelligence of humanity in order to install that new software operating system, which unfortunately will not work unless you kill millions of people. Just think about that for a second. All right? God bless. Take care.